years. The year we're discussing today is 2005, a banner year. This is the year I was a junior and then a senior in high school. Lots of great albums came out in 2005. A lot of ones that I haven't listened to in 20 years, and I still pretty much know every word of. Luke, can you hit us with some of the highlights of the year of 2005 in music?
Yes, this was a great year. I'm going to start you off on January 1st. Copyright law started to expire in Europe from songs from 1954 and earlier, which led to a mass of European bootlegs, which we are still seeing to this day. Michael, do you see a bunch of European bootlegs all the time?
Yeah.
Yep, they are in the vinyl world very heavily, so that happened. January 22nd, I wanted to highlight the Tsunami Relief Concert was held at Wales, and it was the largest UK concert since Live Aid in 1985, so that was a pretty big event. I also wanted to highlight it because that was when we were doing all those charity concerts, in droves. They were really popular at the time. Wanted to bring that back. February 8th, Matchbox 20 frontman Rob Thomas releases his solo album Lonely No More and left the band. It went number one
That's
on
a great song.
Adult Contemporary.
Great song.
Are you a big fan of the Rob Thomas solo
I'm a big
record?
fan of that song.
Oh,
Yeah.
we gotta roll back the years here.
Yeah.
I forgot he left the band. That was a remembrance. February 13th, the 47th Grammy Awards happened. In California, Ray Charles was a big winner and won 5 awards. He had that Duets album that came out, and it was very popular, and I wanted everybody to remember
Genius
that.
Loves Company.
Yes, it was the name of that record. Also, John Mayer won Song of the Year for Daughters and ripped it in half and gave it to Norah Jones and gave half of it to Norah Jones because he thought she deserved Song of the Year. So that happened that year. Very interesting. What else we got here? We got February 22nd. Oh my God, Blink-182 go on their first hiatus, guys. And everybody just really went up and stink about it. They continue to hiatus in and out throughout the 2000s. March 29th, Mariah Carey, who was actively releasing music, released the single We Belong Together from her 10th studio album, The Emancipation of Mimi. The song would hold the #1 position on Billboard Hot 100 for 14 weeks, the highest record for the entire decade. Also wanted to note, on March 29th, Will Smith posed his comeback album with Lost and Found. I think his song was Move Back, something like that. But a Will Smith musical comeback was also launched. Nope, you guys didn't buy it. Neither did the public. Neither did I. April 12th, Mariah Carey released The Emancipation of Mimi finally. April 19th, Mike Jones released his first studio album entitled Who is Mike Jones? and which led everybody my age for the next 5 years to go randomly in the hallway at school.
Mike Jones.
For no reason. I never.
Really?
Yeah.
You just be walking.
Mike Jones.
No
Mike
reason, just be
Jones.
yelling
No
it.
reason.
That happened on
Wow,
April 19th.
you're bringing me back.
Yeah, right. That was
Holy shit.
2005. Changed your
Wow.
life. May
Mike
2nd.
Jones.
Legendary blues rock band Cream reunites at the Albert Hall. One of the lamest reunions of all time, in my opinion.
You ever watch that?
You want to watch Eric
Cream is
Clapton?
gone bad.
The Cream went bad.
The cream is curdled, man.
You want to watch Eric Clapton sit in a chair?
Fucking old sock himself.
Do you guys? Okay, so do you guys
so
remember
weird to
this?
say
Because
that.
this struck back a chord in my memory. Linkin Park issues a press release.
How does Linkin Park make the roundup
every time.
Good God.
2005.
What's your priorities? Linkin Park.
They were demanding an end for their contract with Warner Brothers on the grounds that the label failed to meet fiduciary responsibility in marketing their album that came out that year. And they said, we were cutting costs. But do you remember this beef with Linkin Park and the record company? I remember this
I don't
beef
remember this
at the
one.
time. I do remember this at the time. It was a big deal. Linkin Park were very upset.
I'm about to break.
May 6th, Audio Slave.
So you're on the record.
May 6th, Audio Slave becomes the first American
Now
rock
we're
group
talking.
to perform in Cuba. Can we get the proper
Now we're
pronunciation?
talking.
Cuba.
Cuba.
Thank you.
Now we're talking.
So I had that DVD as well, live in
Wait,
Cuba.
they played in Cuba?
Yeah, they
in
were the-
2005?
Yeah, they were the first rock band.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yep. So they
you go.
opened up the doors and then shut down their career. Gorillaz released their studio album Demon Days on May 23rd, May 25th. Carrie Underwood, the queen herself, wins the 4th season of American Idol. I thought that was of note because I remembered her name. June 12th, Pink Floyd announced that they will reunite with former bassist Roger Waters. Who on July 2nd for a Live Aid concert in London. This will be the first time the band played together since the Wall Tour in 1981. Jeff, that got me so good. June 13th, Michael Jackson's found not guilty. June 15th, Destiny's Child announced they will disband on completion of their world tour. And they did disband. June 16th, Motorhead turned 30. Thought that was great. June 18th, Green Day filmed their Bullet in a Bible DVD, which was really big with us youth back in the day. A great Christmas companion piece to the year after, which you got American Idiot. So I want to throw that in. Little Kim was sentenced to jail on July 6th after she did not snitch in 2001. So she knew knowledge of a crime. She wouldn't snitch. They sent her to jail because they knew she knew. August 9th, Stain released Chapter 5, becoming their 3rd straight studio album to hit #1 on the Billboard 200 album
just keep
charts.
getting worse and worse.
Yeah, what is the criteria?
Yo, when I saw this, I was like, there's no
2005 sucks.
there's no fucking way. Stained had a #1 album in 2005. I looked it up. That fucking shit went #1.
Dude.
Straight
Hey,
to the
man.
top. So they had 3 straight #1 albums. Just want to remind everybody that. August 18th, Interscope Records reports Eminem has entered rehab, which is very sad. And he also released...
Wait, it's sad he went to rehab?
I meant, you know what I meant. I meant it's sad that he was going through these problems at the time. Not that he went to rehab. It's
a
great
real
that he went to
shame, man.
rehab. It's a shame that he had to go like 3 times after this, probably. August 26th, Rihanna releases her first studio album. Upon the Replay becomes a hit. August 28th, Death Row CEO Suge Knight is shot in the leg at the VH1 Video Music Awards. Nobody is found to be the suspect of this crime. September 2nd. Nope, that's... Oh, yeah. September 2nd, the Hurricane Relief concert airs on TV, and Kanye West makes the classic quote, George Bush does not care about black people. One of probably the most classic quotes of the entire decade, if not that year. And also, we are very sorry for Mike Myers for having to live next
You
to
just
that
stood
moment.
like this.
Who went, I know, but come on, man.
Yeah.
So funny.
Jesus.
I'm just here to promote Shrek 2.
Literally.
It's a shame about that hurricane you guys had.
It really was. I mean, that's all I really got for the year. Link Ray died November 5th. Guitar Hero was released on November 8th, which really took a storm.
Yes.
Guitar Hero changed everyone's life and
Yeah, remember?
really brought classic rock radio and probably like streaming into what it is now in a lot of big ways. And then November 15th, Sony BMG recalled all of their, what was this product called? It was Sony Copyright Protection Rootkit scandal. So what this was these were the CDs that couldn't be copied onto computers. Do you remember these? They had the black bottoms. They weren't, you could not copy them. So there was a lawsuit and they had to stop selling these and they pulled all of them off the shelves. That was November 15th. And December 21st, Elton John marries David Furnish in London, his partner and husband, and he got to enjoy the joys of marriage. Do you guys want these top songs of the year?
Hit me.
Okay, here we go. At number 1, We Belong Together, Mariah Carey. Holla Back Girl by Gwen Stefani. Let Me Love You by Mario. I don't even know that song. Since You've Been Gone by Kelly Clarkson. Great tune. 1-2 Step. Sierra featuring Missy Elliott. We have Gold Digger by Kanye West and Jamie Foxx. Boulevard of Broken Dreams by Green Day. Candy Shop, 50 Cent and Olivia. Don't Ya, The Pussycat Dolls, Busta Rhymes. and Behind These Hazel Eyes,
Another-
Kelly
yeah.
Clarkson. Yeah, do you guys want the albums?
Yep.
Top albums of the year. What's number one, guys?
Stained?
Emancipation of Mimi.
The Emancipation of Mimi is correct.
American Idiot, that's up there?
No, Massacre by 50 Cent. We have
Oh,
Breakaway by Kelly Clarkson. American Idiot is number 4.
Okay.
Monkey Business by the Black Eyed Peas is 5. X and Y by Coldplay at 6. 7 is Feels Like Today, Rascal Flatts. 8, Love Angel Music Baby, Gwen Stefani. 9, Late Registration, Kanye West. The Documentary by The Game rounds out number 10.
Well, there you have it.
A lot of laughs in 2005.
Yeah,
but what
a
a
whole lot of
wild
laughs.
ride that year was.
Good
You
Lord.
guys could barely handle yourselves.
Yeah, I know.
Stain having a number 1 album and Kanye West saying that.
Jesus.
What a year.
What a year.
So that brings us to
Our
what
albums.
our favorite picks are for the years. One of you guys started off. I've talked too long. What are you guys' favorite albums?
2005.
Let's go.
So last week we discussed 2003. 2005 features the other CD that I played the most while being a first-time driver in my mom's minivan. I played this CD fucking 5 hours a day probably. Second album by Kanye West. Late Registration is my pick for my favorite album of 2005. It's I believe it's 21 tracks. It's like an hour and 10 minutes long. Features hits like Gold Digger, but also like some of the more, the hidden tracks that I enjoy the most in his career. Like I love Roses. I love Hey Mama. I love Gone. I love Addiction. This is a great album that's primarily produced by Kanye West, like most of his early stuff. And it's co-produced with John Bryan, who is a soundtrack composer and a producer who worked with Fiona Apple, who is a multi-instrumentalist and had a hand in doing a lot of the orchestral production on this album. He was a co-producer on like half the tracks. This album it still had a couple of those skits like College Dropout had, but it's only 4 of them and they're like a minute or less each. And I just think this was like a more mature Kanye West. And the first album he worked on for like 5 years, and then the second album you always the sophomore slump, like now you got to write another thing after you've been working your whole life writing your first one. And this album really delivered. It's very orchestral, it's very cinematic, and it kind of showed that he was always more than a rap artist, but like the sonic palette and the colors and the textures he brought to his music were even more on this album.
I remember when this album came out too, I feel like people were unsure of like who Kanye West was because like the first album and then this one came out, and I remember like MTV and VH1 weren't super sure how to like handle the everything that was Kanye West. And I think it was really interesting because too, like even the style of the music videos were like bright and colorful and kind of like out there. I just think very like it was interesting because in that time, like we know Kanye now very well, and at the time it was just very interesting because I just remember him being like a budding artist and like getting out there, and like I remember this record coming out and being like, oh, is this someone that's gonna stick around for 10 years, 20 years, or is this gonna be someone that's gonna be gone, like Mario, who we couldn't even remember that song that was like in the top 10 best songs of 2005. So very interesting time, and sophomore records.
Yeah, and Gold Digger was everywhere, man. That song was just everywhere. I remember, 2005, I think TRL, right? I think TRL, 2005. Like, seeing the video for it and all that stuff, like, it was just awesome. And I think that was around the time that, didn't Ray come out around that time?
Ray had come out the year before, but like probably the Christmas before, and then this came out right around Labor Day.
Oh, okay. Yeah. But yeah, this was everywhere, and the iconic cover too with like the bear, the whole thing, man. It was just I remember this really was an exciting time to be a Kanye West fan, man, because everybody.
Yeah, and this isn't like, I would say for like 10 years, so up until about 2015, this is one that I would go back to a lot. But in the past 2, 3, 4 years, I don't listen to a lot of Kanye because of his personal life stuff and politics and all that, and it's hard for me to separate the guy from the music. But like I put this on this week, and I still have like this entire album memorized.
Yeah, man.
Like, and I have not listened to Late Your Registration in at least 5 years.
Yeah.
And but I played this out like, and this is just like, in comparison to hip hop music at that time, like you listed the other people in the top 10, 50 Cent, The Game, you had the G-Unit guys. It was a lot of like Jay-Z at the time. It was a lot of like gangster rap put in pop packaging, and like Kanye West was never a gangster rapper. He was always like an outsider doing his own thing.
That was kind of what I was trying to say in a lot of ways. Like the dress, like the preppy style in hip hop was like coming in. That was all Kanye West. Like, and it was the media was like, "What is this?" Because it wasn't what anything else was.
And musically, and I think like image and what he's trying to do musically is like much more like the guys at the turn of the 90s. So like Tribe Called Quest is like his biggest influence. De La Soul, like where it's rap, but it's kind of more
musical.
I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, it's a little bit more complicated.
Yeah, it's more musical, less spoken.
Yeah.
You know. Which is
So this album, it's still like, I don't know, it's a top 3 album maybe for me for Kanye albums.
Alex, you got something before we go on that one?
Total streams on just YouTube alone, Spotify doesn't have it listed as the top, is 1.8 million total video streams itself.
Wow.
For Kanye?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. 328 million.
For that album?
For just Gold Digger.
Just Gold Digger.
Yeah.
Whoa, wow, yeah.
My thoughts were not collected on that.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was halfway there, Alex.
I did bad math.
You said 1.8 and I'm like, and?
Yeah, because I
But that's
so
still
it's,
lasting
and
to this day.
It's still
and a classic album in its time.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
it's one
for
of my
sure.
favorite albums of that decade, not just this year in 2005.
Yeah. Right on. I'll go next, if you guys don't mind. So there's a couple albums that I saw that really I was like, oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. But I had to go with my gut in the way that, just likewise, like Jeffrey said, an album that I could literally just sing front to back and I listened to a million times in the year of 2005 is the first of the dual album release from System of a Down, man.
Oh,
Mesmerize.
I forgot those came out that year.
Hypnotize came afterwards, so they kind of like bookmark or bookend each other. Thank you. And this record for me,
when did Mesmerize come out?
The same year. Oh, no, I'm sorry.
What month?
So this was released May 17th,
And then
and Hypnotize was released November 22nd.
Okay.
So,
I thought one was 22.
but this was an album that I remember like in the car listening to this constantly. I mean, this is, I love System of a Down, and the preceding records, Toxicity, obviously, Steal This Album, and then the self-titled one, like those are monster albums. But this was interesting because like it was really like sort of laser beamed into like this concept thing where it kind of goes different places and it talks about politics and war and government and all that stuff. And it just for me was just such an incredible record. BYOB. Cigaro. That was my ringtone when I had my first cell phone. Was Cigaro? Yeah, it was. Or I think it was my ringback tone.
Was Radio Video on this album?
Yeah, Radio Video, Violent Pornography, Question, Sad Statue, Old School Hollywood, Lost in Hollywood.
Questions on this one?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought Question was
the cocaine makes me feel like I'm on this song. Yeah, Revenja.
Lost in Hollywood. Right.
Yeah, Lost in Hollywood, Old School Hollywood.
I'm gonna also say I feel like System of a Down got the big like media push for this record too. This was like a big giant release for them.
Yeah.
We also bought these. Like I remember my mom was into these CDs, so like that's kind of like how mainstream System of a Down had like become.
Yeah.
We bought both of these CDs at a Newbury comic store.
And then
I remember they interlocked together and made like a big fucking picture.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
It was so cool. It was so cool.
These records were so well done, so well produced. Like the concepts were all there and like kind of loosely. Rick Rubin is behind these, right?
Yeah.
I thought these records were super cool. I love them, and they remind me of 2005. We listened to them in the time period. The music video for BYOB played heavily in rotation all the
MTV2
time.
and
Oh yeah, BYOB. I remember
oh,
when
man,
I learned
that
how
was
to.
a crossover hit. That played on like big. That was on VH1 in the mornings. Like,
Yeah.
I remember when I learned how to play BYOB on guitar, and I just thought I was king shit. I thought I was like, oh yeah, I can play BYOB. That's amazing. It did well too. It won a Grammy in 2006 for best hard rock performance. It was certified platinum,
huge record, very mainstream.
and it was chosen as one of Amazon.com's top 100 editor picks of 2005. So it did it did do very well, and also listen to Hypnotize as well, because I mean that's
The companion. I think they're
That's
use
great.
your illusions, if you will.
Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
in my opinion, it's like an A+ and then an A. They're both amazing.
yeah right.
I like,
It's like-
I like Mesmerize a little bit more as well.
It's like use your illusion,
yeah,
but good.
Mesmerize, sorry, yeah. It's like Use Your Illusion, except it's good. Yeah.
Yeah,
There you
and
go.
this is the band that, like, you think about the music from the 60s and early 70s, how a lot of the best music was in opposition to the Vietnam War and the pushback
Yeah.
of the civil rights movement
Right.
and all this stuff. System of a Down was always the band that was pushing back against the Afghanistan and Iraq wars and, like, political corruption and all those things.
Right.
Yeah, one of my favorite bands of all time. This just missed me. It wouldn't have made it, but this is a top 3 from that year for me.
I
Yeah.
thought this was going to be a Jeff pick for sure,
Yeah.
but then I saw the Kanye album on there, and I knew he was going
Yeah.
there.
No, I love System of a Down.
So Luke, what did you pick?
Oh, I've been hiding this shirt all show here. I'm going to rip it out for you.
Oh, there he is, Noodles himself.
Oh, man, don't you know it? I am choosing the Gorillaz album Demon Days.
Oh man.
Again,
Curveball, little curveball here.
it is a curveball. So when I was looking at the albums released in 2005, I was like, I was looking at all the records, and I bought a lot of CDs in 2005 that I still own, and some that I don't own anymore. But I did buy a lot of those records in that time. But Gorillaz Demon Days for me was an album that I feel like every time I go back and listen to it, it's better than I remembered it being. Really mind-opening album at the time. I've never listened to anything like that before. Danger Mouse production on that record, which I think really changed everybody's way of thinking about music production in the 2000s. So the Gray album had come out, which is the mashup of the White Album and the Black Album by Jay-Z. Danger Mouse produced that. The singer of the Gorillaz is Damon what's his last name?
Albarn from Blur.
Albarn. Okay, I just never had heard anybody say it out loud
Damon
before.
Albarn.
Thank you. So he got together with Danger Mouse and had him produce this record because he wanted it to sound like, that record that he had heard, the Gray album. And I just want to shout out some of the people on this record. So obviously it's Danger Mouse. De La Soul is on here. We have MF Doom on here. Booty Brown from Pharmacide. Sean Ryder is on here. So a bunch of collaborations, much like every Gorillaz album is. I think this is the standout, classic Gorillaz record. It's their second album. And I think every song on here is a banger, but it has huge singles on here. Dirty Harry's on here.
Yeah.
Dare is on here.
Feel Good Inc.
Feel Good Inc.
Big song.
Yeah.
Kids with Guns. And let's talk about Feel Good Inc. because when that song came out, any song sound like that other than the previous Gorillaz song that was big,
Yeah.
the couple years in, I think, 1999. So, yeah, I think this record is stands in the modern light a lot better. I think a lot of because I was even looking back, a lot of people were like, these songs are kind of out there and crazy. Kids with Guns was people were like, what is going on? And I feel like that song is more timely than it's ever been. A lot of the songs about the desolate wasteland of what he's singing about, songs like Oh Green World on there are again more timely than they've ever been. So I think he was writing an album that a lot of people did like in its time, but I think is and should be regarded as a classic album because a lot of music production now and album formatting, I feel like has formed a lot off of that record, especially when it comes to the heavy featuring of artists in that
Yeah.
time. that's Gorillaz all day long, and the collaborative spirit and the everything goes nature of that band really works for me, and I loved it in its time, and I still love it now.
Great pick, man.
So
Great pick. And I love the artwork too.
and it got me.
You gotta
when I
love the artwork.
It
You gotta
got
love
me
the
when I was a kid, man, because I remember explaining that band to my dad. Like I remember explaining like what Gorillaz was. I was like, it's this one guy. And I was like, and the band's fake. It's not a real band. And he's like, who's the band? I was like, nobody really knows who the guy is at
Yeah.
the time. Because,
Studio project, yeah. It's like
Right.
the Monkeys, but digital.
and it was
That's why they're called Gorillas.
Right.
Because they're
Oh, no
like
way.
that format. Yeah, yeah.
And if you at the time too, their website was a giant Flash animation website that you could spend. I'm talking days in and never find all the Easter eggs. There was games and videos. I spent hours on this website. They were such a great band to get into, so fun. And this album still holds up. Check it out. All the songs I named.
Yeah.
Still making music too.
Yeah, still making
they
great
just
singles.
released a single.
Yeah.
Skinny Ape.
Did you guys listen to this album in its time? Because this was like the only thing I listened to like this in its time.
Not so much for me.
No?
No.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I'm not too familiar with
And-
this
I
one.
never owned it, but this is one that I listened to this one in college, so like 3 years later.
Oh, okay.
I remember seeing the music video for Feel Good Inc. and I had really liked the previous single before that. It's another Clint Eastwood thing.
That's
but
what it's called.
It's called Clint Eastwood. I couldn't
Yeah.
remember what it was. I remember hearing Clint Eastwood as a kid and really liking that song. So when Feel Good Inc. came out, it was instantly like I was like, oh, this is the same band. That music video,
Yeah.
beautiful. I
Yeah.
mean, come on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
Cool. Right on. Well, there you have it, guys. 2005. What a wild year, full of all
What a
kinds
great
of.
year.
What a great year! It almost made us cry from laughter. So you know, it's had to be good.
Any honorable mentions?
Yeah, actually,
I had a couple. Fiona Apple's Extraordinary Machine came out in 2005. Z by My Morning Jacket came out in 2005.
I got some. Here we
okay.
go. I am going to say Bright Eyes, I'm Wide Awake, It's Morning came out along with its companion album, Digital Ash and a Digital Urn. Get Emo, Get Sad. That one's on my chest too. I'm not going to show you though. I'm going to go with Fall Out Boys from Under the Cork Tree, a emo classic. Who can't forget that music video? White Stripes, Get Behind Me, Satan. Death Cabs for Cuties, Plans came out in 2005. High school favorite. Audio Slaves Out of Exile
Come on, man.
came out, and
Let's
also
go.
a record I bought in that time period.
Yep.
Motion City Soundtracks, Commit This to Memory, Alkaline Trio's Crimson, Judas Priest's Angel of Retribution,
Oh,
the
that was
comeback album.
Come on, that was the year that I saw Judas Priest live.
It's sitting behind you. I bought it when it
2005.
came out. I begged my parents.
Angel of
And they-
Retribution,
and they've never sounded better.
Also gonna say Dropkick Murphys Warriors Code. I bought that in the time that
Yeah.
it came out, so I had to own up to that one. And I also bought this one, OK Goes Oh No, the Treadmill Band. So yeah, that was ones I wanted to shout out.
Mine shout-outs real quick. The documentary by The Game, which we've talked about. Also, The Massacre, 50 Cent. Ghost Reveries from the band Opeth, because I always got to talk about Opeth. I got to find a way to put it in there. Queens of the Stone Age, Lullabies to Paralyze, which was kind of a runner-up for me for like a selection for me this time. And the Mars Volta, Francis the Mute came out in 2005 as well. So there you go, guys. It was 2005. It was a wild ride. It was a crazy year. Quick break. We'll come back. Alex?
Quickly before we go to the break, the next year we'll cover is 1998.
1998.
Big
All
Willie
right.
style.
Get ready.
Oh, let's go, baby.
No, I think that was 97.
Final call out. Nobody called out the Danger Doom album from that year, which was the Mouse and the Mask that had
Oh, sure.
crosshairs.
MF Doom. And
Oh,
Danger
yeah,
Mouse.
yeah.
That's a really good one, yeah.
Right on. Okay. We'll be right back.